കൊല്ലം ശ്രീനാരായണ കോളേജിലെ IQAC സംഘടിപ്പിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന മൾട്ടി ഡിസിപ്ലിനറി വെബിനാർ സീരീസിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ടുള്ള പ്രഭാഷണമാണ് ഇന്ന് ഇവിടെ നടക്കുന്നത്. വളരെ കൗതുകകരവും വൈജ്ഞാനികവുമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പ്രഭാഷണ വിഷയമാണ് ഇന്ന് നമുക്കുള്ളത്. ബയോഡൈവേഴ്സിറ്റി ആൻഡ് കൺസർവേഷൻ ഓഫ് കോറൽ റീഫ്സ്. ഈ വിഷയത്തെ അധികരിച്ച് പ്രഭാഷണം നടത്തുന്നത് ഡോക്ടർ ജയ്ഷ്നി മോൾ ഭാർഗവൻ. ഞാൻ വളരെ സ്നേഹത്തോടെ ആദരവോടെ കൊല്ലം ശ്രീനാരായണ കോളേജിലേക്ക് ജയ്ഷ്നി മോൾ ഭാർഗവനെ ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. നമുക്കറിയാം, ഭൂമിയിലെ ഏറ്റവും വൈവിധ്യമുള്ള ആവാസ വ്യവസ്ഥ ഉൾക്കൊള്ളുന്ന പവിഴ പാറകളെ കടലിലെ മഴക്കാടുകൾ എന്നാണ് പൊതുവെ വിളിക്കുന്നത്. പവിഴപ്പുറ്റുകളെ കടലിലെ പൂന്തോട്ടം എന്നും പറയുന്നു. പക്ഷെ ഇപ്പോഴ് കടൽ തന്നെ മലിനീകരണത്തിന് വിധേയമാവുകയും പവിഴപ്പുറ്റുകളെല്ലാം നാശത്തിന്റെ വക്കത്താണെന്നും എല്ലാം പുതിയ കണ്ടെത്തലുകൾ ഉണ്ടായിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. നമ്മുടെ സാധാരണ മനുഷ്യരുടെ വിശ്വാസം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നവരത്നങ്ങളിൽ ഒന്നാണ് പവിഴം എന്നാണ്. പവിഴം ഭാഗ്യരത്നമായി ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നവർ ധാരാളമുണ്ട്. കൊറാലിയം ജനസിൽപ്പെട്ട പവിഴപ്പുറ്റുകളിൽ നിന്നാണ് പവിഴം എന്ന രത്നം ലഭിക്കുന്നത്. ഇതിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ആഭരണം ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത്. ധാരാളം അന്ധവിശ്വാസങ്ങൾ പവിഴവുമായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുണ്ട്. സുഖജീവിതത്തിന് വേണ്ടി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പേരിനും പ്രശസ്തിക്കും വേണ്ടി പലരും പവിഴം ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ അവരാരും തന്നെ ഈ പവിഴം എങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടാകുന്നു, അതിൻ്റെ രഹസ്യം എന്താണ് എന്നുള്ളതിലേക്ക് കടക്കുന്നവർ വളരെ വിരളമാണ്. ആ സാധ്യതയാണ്, അതിലേക്കുള്ള ഒരു കിളിവാതിലാണ് ഡോക്ടർ ജയ്ഷ്നി മോൾ ഇന്നത്തെ വെബിനാറിലൂടെ നമുക്ക് തുറന്നിടുന്നത് എന്നതാണ്. ഭൂമിയിലെ വൈവിധ്യമുള്ളതും മനോഹരവുമായ ഒരു ആവാസ വ്യവസ്ഥയാണ് പവിഴപ്പുറ്റുകൾ എന്നതാണ്. തീരത്തോട് ചേർന്നും കടലിന്റെ ആഴങ്ങളിലും ഇവ കാണപ്പെടുന്നു. വളരെ വൈവിധ്യമാർന്നിട്ടുള്ള പവിഴപ്പുറ്റുകളുണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിൻ്റെ എല്ലാം രഹസ്യങ്ങളിലേക്ക് നമ്മളെ നയിക്കാൻ കെൽപ്പുള്ള, കഴിവുള്ള യുവ ശാസ്ത്രജ്ഞ കൂടിയായിട്ടുള്ള ഡോക്ടർ ജയ്ഷ്നി മോൾ ഭാർഗവനെ ഞാൻ ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി കോളേജിന് വേണ്ടി സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ആമുഖ ഭാഷണം അവസാനിപ്പിക്കുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, Sunil Kumar sir. With great pleasure, let me introduce today's speaker, Dr. Jayshni Mol Bhargavan. Currently, she is working as a research scientist in Marine Environment Research Department, Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, United Arab Emirates. Dr. Jayshni did her graduation in BSc Zoology from TKMM College, Nangyar Kulangara, and she took her master's and PhD from Aquatic Biology and Fisheries, University of Kerala. She was a guest lecturer in zoology in Department of Zoology, SN College, Cherthala. Dr. Jayshni is a research professional with more than 10 years experience. She has research experience in marine studies, especially in marine water quality and biological studies. She was a lead for the coral research and restoration team in the Marine Department for developing super corals and propagation by microfragments. She is a member of restoration team involved in largest cultured coral reef project in Fujairah, UAE, and artificial reef installations, reef caves and reef balls. She was a team member and lead taxonomist for phytoplankton and red tide studies in UAE, and is also a team member for marine water quality monitoring project. Dr. Jayshni was a lead researcher in the project designing and implementation of monitoring macro and microplastic litter from seawater and beach sediments of UAE using Fourier transmission technology. She was a technical member for the Committee on Implementation of National Plan of Action for the Conservation of Marine Turtles in the UAE. Dr. Jaishni was a member of Mangrove Conservation Project in UAE, planting mangroves all around the nation. She was also a member of Water Bird Monitoring Team in UAE. To me, she is a long-time buddy, and still I do remember Jaishni as a very lovable and energetic girl at our university campus during our studies. With great happiness and love, inviting Dr. Jaishni to the 30th talk of our Agora webinar series organized by Srinarayana College, Kollam. Over to Jaishni.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jisha, for such wonderful and lovely words. And yeah, Dr. Jisha is a very long time buddy, and a dear friend, and a senior. Hope I'm audible.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So I think Dr. Jisha has explained my professional experience in marine research studies. So I am in the UAE for the last 10 to 11 years. So I'm working with the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment in the Marine Research Department, holding all these responsibilities as described by Dr. Jisha. Our Marine Research Department is the prime and foremost research organization in the marine studies for UAE. It is linked with the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, which actually legislates the policies of marine conservation, fisheries, and agriculture for the country. So I'm very happy to work with very good colleagues from different parts of the world. Actually, we have UAE national, but we do have so many experts. And during this tenure here, I had a great opportunity to meet with so many eminent people who are in the field of marine research and aquaculture in different parts of the world. So without wasting much time, I think we will just go forward with the presentation. I hope you will enjoy it, and you all will at least gather some information about coral from my presentation.
Presentation is not at open, I think. Okay, fine. Sound maximum ആണോ ജേഷ്ണി?
Hello, കേൾക്കാമോ?
Sound maximum ആണ്.
Maximum.
ശരി, okay.
Okay, can I start?
Full screen, please. Okay, fine.
So today I'll be talking about some information which I could gather or which I know. I would like to present that regarding the biodiversity and conservation of coral. So I'll be covering the topic in 4 different parts, which will be coral reefs and its importance. What is actually the biodiversity of coral reefs? How much biodiverse is coral or coral reefs? What are the threats to the coral reefs and conservation and restoration of coral reefs? What are the measures taken? And which I'll be talking about the conservation and restoration methods which are followed worldwide. So as Sunil sir said, coral reefs are actually the rainforests of the sea. So that is the most biodiverse. It is considered as the most biodiverse ecosystem of Earth, more than the tropical rainforest. So it has the highest biodiversity on the planet Earth. The planet Earth is believed to have 1.8 million species. But out of these, 6,000 species of corals, and we have 4,000 species of fishes. And talking about biodiversity means the variety or richness of life on an ecosystem. Coral reefs are the largest and the most complex ecosystems on the earth. And coral reefs are believed to have evolved around 240 million years ago. So they are so old. Even though reef covers only 2% of the ocean surface, or less than 1% of the Earth's surface, but covers about 25% of all species dependent on 25% of species in the marine ecosystem they live in the reefs, or they depend on the reef for their resources. Sorry for the technical error.
ജേഷ്ണി ഹെഡ്ഫോണിൻ്റെതാണോ എന്ന് എനിക്കൊരു ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ട്. ഹെഡ്ഫോൺ ഇല്ലാണ്ട് പറഞ്ഞു നോക്കാൻ പറ്റൂ? ലാപ്പിലാണോ?
ലാപ്പിലാണ് ചേച്ചി, പക്ഷെ എനിക്ക് ഹെഡ്ഫോൺ ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ.
ഹെഡ്ഫോൺ ഇല്ലാതെ ഒന്ന് ട്രൈ ചെയ്ത് നോക്കി.
Are very important in terms of providing food in form of fishes, not only to us but other marine organisms. And with regard to ecotourism, coral reefs are famous world tourist places. It provides medicines and helps in the nutrient cycling of seawater, and it protects shoreline. So this slide just shows you how, with and without coral reefs, or with a healthy coral reef and without the healthy coral reef, how can the erosion of a shoreline happen? The coral reefs, how economically important the coral reefs are. Coral reef value, or the coral reefs value around the world over, it's around estimated to be around $30 billion. This is apart from the $172 billion it provides every year as food protection, tourism, and medicine. It is an extra income which comes from corals. Coral reef value in terms of fish and other marine products is $30 billion. 6 million fishermen from around 99 reef countries and territories depend upon coral reefs for their source of fish or source of income. Coral reefs are made of corals. Corals are the contributors. Our corals are the things that make the organisms that make coral reefs. And what are corals? Corals are marine invertebrates which belong to the phylum Eutheria, or simply it is called as nettle animals. There are around 11,000 species of aquatic animals. 11,000 species of aquatic animals. Species of aquatic animals, and they belong to the groups as corals. Even though they look like rocks or they appear hard, they belong to the group of organisms same as jellyfishes. So corals are actually colonial organisms which are compact group of polyps, or each individual organism is called a polyp or a coral. So, and these organisms are actually cnidarians or soft bodied organisms, but as they grow they secrete exoskeleton of a calcium carbonate, and they form into colonies, which eventually forms the coral reefs. So to explain what are actually corals. So corals are unicellular, are cylindrate or cnidarians with tentacles and a mouth. So we imagine corals to be, most of the people, when they see the different shapes of coral, something it is a non-living rock, kind of a rock, or some people believe that it is a plant. But no, corals are sessile cnidarians or sedentary animals. They have a symbiotic relationship with zooxanthellae, which is an unicellular algae, which which help or which make food, and the coral gives the nutrients and shelter to these algae. This is a kind of symbiotic relationship. The corals do feed on the planktons. Coming, how do corals propagate or how do corals multiply? So they have multiple reproductive strategies. They can grow both by sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is simply budding or fragmentation through phenotypically or similar clones. So that since corals grow in this way, this has helped coral conservationists to restore many coral reefs or degraded coral reef ecosystems all over the world. Now it has developed, and now scientists world over, marine conservationists world over are trying out methods so that artificial spawning can be made in corals the same way we propagate fish eggs. So that the research is in process, and some people have succeeded in their first stage. But naturally, the process is that it only happens once a year. So once the eggs are fertilized by sperm, they form the planula is a free floating form. It has to settle on a suitable substrate and become polyps after a few days or weeks. And if by unfortunately, if it doesn't find a good substrate or good water conditions or water currents, this development of larvae or a new polyp doesn't happen. World over, where are the coral reefs found? Surprisingly, it is found near the tropical belt. So the major coral reef areas fall in these belt between 23° north and 23° south. The main reason why this could be because corals prefer warm tropical climate. These are found in temperatures where I am, where the water temperature in the Arabian Gulf, with its shallow nature, can go up to 35 to 36 sea surface water temperature during the extreme summers. So these are some of the main important points I have put forward describing coral reefs. Habitat. Habitat, they are found in tropical and subtropical waters. Deep sea corals are also found that are approximately around 6,000 meter depth. High salinity, but the deep sea corals are also are found in areas of high salinity and low carbon dioxide levels. The growth of corals, the main challenge to propagate corals is slowly, and the fastest growth is around 15 centimeters per year. So there are some species which grows only 4 to 5 centimeters. So when marine conservationists, they want to grow corals, they have to wait for years. So That's why the marine conservationists, we say, please do not destruct the coral reefs, because once destroyed, it takes years. It takes one coral or one polyp years to have a big, maybe a span of, if one coral grows it to form a big colony, it may take years. The largest coral reef is in Australia, which is the Great Barrier Reef, as everyone knows. It's so large that it can be seen from the space. The lifespan of coral is believed that the individual colonies can live up to centuries, decades to centuries. Deep sea colonies have been believed to live more than 4,000 years. And yes, as we find the age of a tree during by the annual rings, it is possible to find the age of a coral colony. So what are the conditions, or what are the temperature and other, these are the four important, sorry. Okay, just a second. Hello.
ഹലോ ജയശ്രീ, ഞാൻ മെസ്സേജ് അയച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു.
Audible ആണോ?
സൗണ്ട് ഇപ്പോഴും അതുപോലെ അതെ, സ്പീക്കർ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ലാപ്ടോപ്പ് കുറച്ചും കൂടെ ക്ലോസ് ആയിട്ട് വെച്ചാൽ കൊള്ളായിരുന്നു.
ലാപ്ടോപ്പ് ക്ലോസ് ആണ്, പക്ഷെ എനിക്ക് ലാപ്ടോപ്പിന്റെ മൈക്ക് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല തോന്നുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ
ഇപ്പൊ കുഴപ്പമില്ല. ഈ ഒരു സൗണ്ടിൽ സംസാരിച്ചാലേ കേൾക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നുള്ളൂ. ആളുകൾ മെസ്സേജ് അയക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ശരി.
So here I have listed the four important factors which is needed, which is the optimum conditions for the growth where the majority of corals are found. The temperature, it is between 16 to 34.4 degrees Celsius. The salinity range in which normally or commonly corals are found is between 23 to 42 parts per thousand, or ppt. The pH range is 7.2 to 8.24. And the nitrate, which is one of the important factors for the growth of coral, is between 0 to 3.34. This is the normal conditions now at present on Earth, the regions where coral reefs are seen. And coral reefs, they form colonies or groups, and there are four different ways or four different types. These are the fringing reefs, which can be found along the coast side, which forms a border along the coast side, but it separates the shoreline and the coral. In between the separation, you can see a lagoon or a water body, and these coral reefs might be connected by channels to the mainland. The barrier reefs usually form a scattered reef, but it will enclose a place, and in between maybe you can find a small patch of land. The atolls, as you see in the picture, it is a fringing reef and it connects to each other, forming a small island. And patch reefs are here and there, you find smaller patches, and these patches are normally seen in shallow water areas. The best example for an atoll is the popular tourist country Maldives. And now the biodiversity, how biodiverse or how is the variety of life of corals or coral reefs. So as I said earlier, there are around, which is believed to have around 6,000 species of corals on Earth. In a small patch in a small area where coral reefs are found, that is between the Southeast Asia and the Great Barrier Reef, that is from Asia to Australia, you can find more than 700 species of coral. In India alone, it is believed, according to the FAO reports, it is believed to have 342 species. These are the 20 species common to all reefs in India. Out of the 342, these 20 species or 20 can be found in all reefs in India. So these are some images I have collected of the species which are common in India. These species of corals can be found in all the coral reefs in India. Coral reefs are affected by various factors. The first factor among them, various activities, human activities, global warming, ocean acidification, and all these lead to mass coral bleaching or the declining calcification. So talking about climate change. What is climate change? Climate change is a long-term change in average weather patterns. It is not the seasonal changes which happen. It's the long-term changes which happen in average weather patterns. And why do climate change happen? Climate change happen because of humanity's increased use of fossil fuels, deforestation, intensive agriculture or aquaculture. All these are factors which accelerate climate change. It is believed that Earth has warmed over 1 degree Celsius since pre-industrial times. And how do you know a coral is bleached or dead? Or what happens when a coral dies? Under any stress, the first thing the coral would do is expel all its algae, the zooxanthellae. So once it expels the zooxanthellae, it has no food because the zooxanthellae creates or makes the food for the coral. And as an effect of climate change, scientists predict that over half of the world's coral reef may die by 2050 if the current pressures continue to threaten the reefs. And are the reefs world over threatened? Yes, it is. All over the world, the reefs are threatened. Satellite oceanography has proved or is an effective technology to map and monitor coral reefs, and that is what is being used world over now. Rather than just going in and disturbing the habitat, satellite oceanography has proven to be an effective method in mapping and monitoring coral reefs. So what are the threats? Climate change is the foremost threat. What is the effect of this climate change? The ocean changes, the properties of the sea changes, the temperature changes. Global warming or warming of oceans, it imparts thermal stress to the corals, which leads to coral bleaching and diseases. Ocean acidification, that is, increase in carbon dioxide will decrease the pH of seawater and it will lessen the growth rate and structural integrity of coral or coral colonies or coral reefs. Sea level rise. Sea level rise will impart sedimentation, so which will cover the corals or smoother the corals so that the corals cannot function or corals cannot live. It will clog the pores or it will clog the mouth of the coral, the individual corals, due to which the algae cannot produce the food and eventually it goes to the death of the coral colony. Changes in storm pattern. If during heavy storm times or cyclone times, it disrupts the reef structure. Changes in precipitation. Land and runoff sediments, if it is polluted or if it changes or if it is rich in nutrients, yes, it will cause algal blooms. It will cause turbidity, which will affect the algae which is residing in the corals. Alter ocean currents, it has the same effect as storm or an ocean current also affects the larvae and there is a lack of food and lack of larval dispersal, the larvae might not find suitable places or substrates to settle down and grow into new colonies. How can we conserve and restore our coral reefs? Talking about conservation, the main thing we can do is reduce pollution, especially the land-based pollution, the agriculture-based pollution, which we tend to discharge into the oceans. The improve fishery sustainability, because people go and fish in such areas of coral reefs. Why? Because the other part of the sea is not sustainable. Fishery, they don't get fish. So when they don't find fish, or when they cannot find what they need there, they come to such places. So fishery sustainability, improving fishery sustainability is important in conserving marine habitat, be it any habitat. And restoring viable coral populations. By talking about restoring viable coral populations, during a mass bleaching event also, you can see that there are records that some of the colonies survived. So they had something genetically, they are better than their counterparts living in the same area. So restoring or propagating such corals and finding out what is that special factor that help them to cope up or resist the stress, that will help in restoring many other bleached coral areas. Increasing resilience to climate change. So increasing resilience to climate change, what do you mean by this is that you experimentally or for researchers or in coral restoration facilities, the corals are exposed to extreme predicted climate change or predicted temperature or pH, whatever the factor it is, then they are recovered, and or as I said, in the viable coral population, whichever sustains or whichever survives, that is allowed to propagate into other colonies or into new colonies. Such a way we what we do is that we are creating genetically more viable populations which can cope up with the climate change stress that is predicted to be or that will happen in the coming times. Establishing marine protected areas or MPAs or ISBAs, that is ecologically and biologically significant areas, ESBAs and MPAs, is an important tool for any marine conservation, especially the reefs, because the reefs are normally found in shallow areas. Though there are deep water corals, but commonly you can see, and people are curious about how colorful they are, how they look, the fishes inside. So to block that or to restrict that, establishing such areas, whatever the existing reefs we have as MPAs or ESBAs, that is ecologically significant, EBSA, sorry, ecologically and biologically significant areas, it can help in coral reef conservation. Now talking about restoration, what are the restoration methods which is used world over? First is direct transplantation, that is transplanting a coral piece from a healthy colony into a substrate. Either we have made the substrate or onto the substrate that is existing in the seabed. When you talk about direct transplantation or transplantation coral pieces, microfragmentation is a new technique which was like accidentally discovered by a scientist called David Vaughan in Australia. But now this microfragmentation has proved as a very fast technique for growing many of the rocky corals or the hard corals, slow growing hard corals. The same technique we are actually using in UAE to propagate corals. Then coral gardening. Coral gardening is growing more corals, same as you do with the plants, the same underwater you do with corals. So talking about coral garden, we have the largest coral garden coming up in UAE, which is created from cuttings or from propagates of existing coral mother colonies, which are present here in the country. Then genetic diversity in asexual reproduction. This goes with the viable population, how we create the viable population. Larval enhancement. What we do normally in larval enhancement, or what they mean by larval enhancement, is that protecting the or collecting the larvae at the time, monitoring the coral colonies and collecting the larvae in their natural habitats, bringing it to a suitable environment, propagating into a larvae, settling it on a suitable substrate and replanting it in the pre-marine habitat. And artificial reefs. Artificial reefs are structures made of calcium carbonate, or now there are 3D printed artificial reefs made of calcium carbonate, and these are put into areas where there was pre-existing reefs. There are pre-existing reefs, so that it finds a suitable substrate for the larvae, finds a suitable substrate for attaching. In substratum stabilization, this happens where there is too much of erosion, but you have a small patch of corals, but there is too much erosion. So you provide some stable substrate so that it will not erode. It will have a suitable substrate, it will be strong, and the next generation will find a suitable substrate to grow. So these are some of the coral restoration techniques, which was or nursery techniques where they grow corals. These are like cement blocks which are put in the bottom, sea bottom, and coral transplants are planted on them. This is a round mesh. This is an artificial reef kind of thing where coral transplants are put in, and first for this putting these coral transplants, normally they use epoxy. How we can help? Same way as we can help to save our environment, we please reduce the use of chemicals, because whatever we are using is getting discharged into the sea, most of the time without treatment or with treatment. To sustainable seafood. So there are it would be helpful if you know, or if there is a list of sustainable species, variety of the list of species which is okay to consume, which will not affect the population diversity of that species. Practice good reef etiquettes. So people who are going into the reefs, who dive or who swim, it's important that they follow this. Then cleaning up. Participating or volunteering in beach cleanups and waterway cleanups will definitely be helpful in coral reef conservation. For any more information, these are the three important websites to follow. So now I would like to share now I would like to share a video.
Writing assistant, more than 20.
Full screen, please. I think advertisement can skip it.
Billion people use to connect the right.
Each polyp consists of a soft, sac-like body topped by a mouth. Coral reefs. Their bright, vivid colors can be seen in tropical ocean waters around the globe. Beyond their brilliant appearance lies a hidden significance. Corals are animals. Though they may look like colorful plants, coral are in fact made up of tiny animals called polyps. These invertebrates can rank to a bit larger than a basketball. Each polyp consists of a soft, sac-like body topped by a mouth covered in stinging tentacles. To protect their soft bodies and as support, the polyps secrete limestone skeletons or calicles. Corals are megaforms. Polyp calicles connect to one another, creating a colony that acts as a single organism. As colonies grow over hundreds and thousands of years, they join with other colonies and become reefs that can grow to hundreds of miles long. The largest coral reef is Australia's Great Barrier Reef, which began growing about 20,000 years ago. Coral reefs are some of the most diverse ecosystems on Earth. Though they cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, coral reefs are home to 25% of all marine creatures. It's been estimated that up to 2 million species inhabit coral reefs, rivaling the biodiversity of the rainforest. The reefs provide rich habitat that helps protect young fish as they grow. Coral are translucent. Coral reefs get their rainbow colors from algae or zooxanthellae that live in the tissue. Though corals use their tentacles to capture some food, most of their food comes from the algae they house. When coral becomes stressed by pollution or other factors, they evict their algae. Coral bleaching results revealing coral's white skeletons. Coral provide a window to the past. As coral grow, their limestone skeletons form layers similar to tree rings that vary in composition and thickness based on ocean conditions at the time. With some coral reefs growing for thousands or even millions of years, scientists can study these layers to reveal what climate may have been like in the ocean past. Unfortunately, climate change is putting corals' future in danger, along with millions of species that inhabit the reefs and the 500 million people that rely on reef fish for food. Warming waters result in prolonged coral bleaching that kill coral reefs or leave them vulnerable to other threats. Without significant action on climate change, our oceans could lose many of their colorful reefs by the end of the century.
Thank you, Jayashni.
Yeah.
There are some questions in the Q&A box. You can select some questions and try to answer it. Shall I read it or you can access it?
I can
Q&A box. Is it possible to convert or regenerate the healthy corals from bleached ones? This question from Annie.
a very good question. Answering to this, it depends upon the species of coral, actually. Otherwise, by ourselves, we are not able. As far as my experience, we have recovered, but that depends upon the species. Some species are very sensitive to any stress. So once they bleach, they won't come back. So, but there are species, for example, the genus Parietis, which we see now all over the world. It is becoming one of the most flourishing species among corals. What we found out the reason is it is a species which can withstand much stress in terms of temperature, salinity. It doesn't affect. It's not that it doesn't affect, but the changes now hasn't affected it, or it may not affect even if the temperature rises by 1 or 2 degrees Celsius to that particular species. So once, even if we experimentally we give a temperature which is more than what is being predicted, after a while it do come back, because there are some polyps with some special genes which recovers this particular species. Yes.
The next question from Shahana: at what temperature the corals shed off the zooxanthellae?
That is also species specific, but most of them, yeah, around 32, 33 and above, most of them should. But there are this species which I call Paraichus. It doesn't until around 35, 36. It doesn't shed its zooxanthellae.
How the substrate can be enhanced by electricity?
Yes, because it is believed and it is being experimented. Some people are doing it. The picture which I showed you with the metal trap-like thing, or which I said is a metal artificial reef, they charge with the electricity. This charge helps in the growth, promoting the growth of the coral fragments, and it is being proved by certain scientists. Yeah.
And from Sunita, what type of unicellular algae make symbiosis with corals?
It is called Symbodinium. That is the genus name. I forgot the species name actually. It is, and that is the common species which is seen almost in all the corals. Until now, that is the only species of corals which is, and especially also here in UAE also we have seen this species.
And Jinu asked about which is the largest coral reef in Kerala.
I have no idea, sorry, but there is coral reef in Kerala, and I think the report, as per the references I have gone through, it is from somewhere in Kollam to Kanyakumari, and also they have found some new reefs around the Tumba region, but I have no idea which is the largest coral reef in Kerala. Sorry.
From Jinu, he asked about Favia coral.
Favia coral.
Yeah.
What is I cannot see it.
Explain Favia coral. That's all.
Favia is a genus, and you have around 4 species in UAE. In Kerala. India. I don't know how much in Kerala. I have no idea. But yeah, in India there are 4 species, and the Favia coral. Each coral, how they have made into separate species. Some may look similar, but it is depending upon the not the shape, actually the the intrications or the markings of the skeleton when it forms, when it does it. If you take a bleach coral and if you see, you can see the markings, or the way the polyps or way it is, the markings are, it is all different. So when you say it is Favia has extremely different. When you see a live coral, you may feel, no, this is not Favia. They are not similar. But when it is bleached, when you see the skeleton, the calcium carbonate skeleton, you can make out that no, they are similar. So that based on that, that is how corals are actually they are grouped into different species. And yes, now I think the Favia species, the name has changed to, they have changed some species name, and it is now, I think, Dipastria.
And from Vinod, how successful are you in propagation and restoration of corals in UAE?
The success of coral, the biggest success is we are going to have the largest coral reef, and we are almost halfway through. So it will span around an area of 300,000 square kilometers. So it will be the largest artificial coral reef or coral nursery in the world. That's what the aim is, and hopefully we are halfway through it.
Okay, from Shahana again, which is the most effective restoration method?
The most effective restoration method is coral propagation by transplants or by cutting or microfragmentation. Microfragmentation is now the most, because it's very fast growing. When you have a normal fragment, by normal fragment I mean a fragment which is more than 5 centimeters, more than 5 or more centimeters. For microfragment I mean which is something below 5 or less than 3 centimeters. But the rate of growth is around 30 to 40 times more in microfragments, faster than you have in bigger transplants. So the advantage of having microfragments is that you need lesser mother colonies. So from example, from 10 centimeters, you can make 10 microfragments. Whereas if you go for the normal conventional transplantation, you can just get at, I think, 2, the maximum.
And another question from Abdul Kader: is there any coral garden in our country, in India?
I think no. I don't know. Artificial, I think no. But yes, there are good restoration this going on in the Gulf of Mannar.
And from Abarna Vinod: why are the coral restoration programs so much limited in the islands of Lakshadweep archipelago, especially
Because Lakshadweep,
when it is facing so
yeah.
much coral bleaching and destruction lately?
Okay. The prior question, which is the biggest, sorry, it is the Lakshadweep. It is the biggest coral reef, and maybe that is why it is more there. It is concentrated more there. And I am also surprised why Kerala doesn't have much coral reefs. On the other part, only from Kollam to this stretch, the corals are found. I don't know why. I'm also surprised. Maybe the climatic conditions or the way the currents are could be the reason.
From Denabi Devi: good evening, ma'am. Why does the biodiversity of corals are more than the fishes? Is it related with their habitat?
Because the main what I think the reason is, I also had the same like question, but I think the same reason, because maybe they are because lower level organism could be the reason.
And from Ramakrishnan: why coral reef population is deteriorating year by year, and also the biodiversity threats? Let me know the reasons. Then what are the strategies to enhance the coral reef diversity in the marine ecosystem?
I think that is what I have covered in that area of propagating coral. Whatever you have existing, you can propagate. You can improve the genotype or the resistant corals. So that is what has got extinct the species. What has got extinct, you have we cannot do anything to that. So whatever you have, we have now. So I think the important or the main strategy or the main way you can protect your existing this is, please establish some protected areas. Because when you say marine protected areas, I think the other infrastructure development people, they won't like it. So either you call it as an MPA or as an ES, like ecologically and biologically significant areas. So that can help. So that will limit the number of people going in, the tourism, all these things. I think that can help. That is the best way.
And one question from Bhaskar: please explain major coral diseases and if any treatment methods followed.
Major corals also have, I have not covered this topic in this one because it was just covered the biodiversity and conservation. Corals, I think if you want, I can, if you pass on the email ID, I can send you more of this. But yes, corals do have bacterial and viral diseases like the wine bat disease, the black band disease, yes. And how it can be seen is that if you have a healthy patch of coral, only one part of it might be bleached. So you can one part means like a one streak or that kind of. So you can make out, is it a bleaching from any other thermal stress or is it from a disease? Most of the times we can make out.
Jishni, one more question from Shahana: how do you look into mineral accretion technology adopted in Gulf of Kutch?
I have no idea, sorry about that.
Okay, the questions are over.
Thank you.
Shall we move into the next session out of thanks?
Yeah, sure.
Suraj, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Over to
Thank you.
Suraj.
Thank you, ma'am. A warm good evening to all. It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver a vote of thanks to the dignitaries present in this webinar. First of all, I would like to thank our